just been like for you guys? It's not your first time having this sort of layoff, but what has it just been like for you guys as a group?
Honestly, today was our first practice. You know, you don't want to go. How many days off? 7? Yeah. 7 or 8? Like, you don't want to burn out playing 7, so we got an actual, like, official day off 2 days ago, and then we had, like, a recovery day. And then today was, like, a real deal practice, so it was fun just getting back out there. 2 days feels like an eternity now, so just knocking, I guess, some of the rust off, but just, you know, run up and down the court, getting our wind back a little bit, and just, like, repping out some of the stuff that we do.
And is it nice now? I mean, you have this time, and you actually know who your opponent is and being able to prepare for them now.
Yeah, that was part of the 2 days off, I think. Just, you know, obviously when you don't know who you're playing, it's really hard to, like, continue to have practice. So I think those 2 days off kind of timed up well with how the series ended. And then, you know, we were kind of getting to some of their stuff. But a lot of it was just focusing on us, and we have a lot of days to prepare for them, too.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Indiana offensively. Obviously, they're a team that likes to run and gun, score a lot of points. What's the primary challenge that you feel that their offense brings? They're one of the highest scoring teams in the league.
Probably that. Yeah, probably that. Just they play fast, and that's what kind of like fuels their whole identity. And they're really talented. Mark made a really good point. Like, they are feeling the exact same way we feel. You know what I mean? Like, they've had to win 3 series. We've had to win 3 series. So they're coming in extremely confident. We're coming in confident. So should be really fun. But yeah, that drives their thing. I think just like their pace, and you know, you kind of saw it just wear down the Knicks a little bit. So that's something that we'll look at, and yeah, we'll just go from there.
And then as a team that you know, they wear people down with their running up and down, but you guys do the same, and you guys have a bunch of, you know, perimeter defenders, wing defenders that really embrace playing defense. How do you feel about that particular challenge, that aspect of it, really being tested in that regard?
Yeah, it should be fun. All tests are fun, and we get to do it on the biggest stage any of us have ever played on. So it'll be a very fun challenge. Like I said, that's a really good team. Obviously, they're in the finals for a reason. Nobody just waltzes into the finals, so it'll be our ultimate test.
Indiana's a team with a lot of depth, plays really well together, seems to enjoy playing together, similar to you guys. Just how much do you think a matchup like this really shows, you know, the importance of that and how much of a winning formula that is?
Yeah. I was watching Miles Turner's interview yesterday. He made a really good point. Just I think teams that get along well and actually have like a real chemistry is starting to show a little more. You know, you're starting to get into the NBA just naturally getting younger. And I think we're kind of like in that transition now. So it's cool that you have 2 like small market teams playing on this big stage. So that's really cool too. But yeah, I think he just made a good point. Like they are pretty close to us in regards to like how close they are as a team. Obviously not in their locker room, so I don't know. But outside looking in, like they look like they have a lot of fun playing with each other, and their crowd is really into it. Like their city loves them. So that's kind of like around the same thing as us. So it's cool that you're kind of like playing yourself in a way in that kind of regard.
Bit of a different question, but it was recently announced that you're going to have a street named after you outside of your old high school. Just what does that mean to you, and just what did your time there at Perry mean to you?
It means I'm old. High school was a long time ago. Yeah, it's really cool. I definitely didn't expect it. But yeah, I stayed at Perry all 4 years when I could have went prep or did something else. I had really good coaches, Coach Dwayne, Coach Fauché, Coach Hartwig. That kind of made me into the player that I am today, just as far as like understanding the game, how to approach the game, watching film. Like they introduced me to a lot of that. So I'm always thankful for that. And then I made my best friends are ones that I met, you know, 8th grade through now. So it's really like a full circle moment to kind of have something that's going to stay at school.
Jalen, after Game 5, Mark was out there at midcourt just talking about you guys as a group and that you embody everything that it is, you know, right about being a team and being together. And you were just talking about, you know, Miles' comments as well.
Yeah.
I know obviously you're competing at the highest level, but are you excited to, you know, demonstrate as a group that aspect, that side of yourselves in terms of being a representation of like what the NBA is all about?
Yeah, for sure. Just being in the NBA, obviously you represent something more than just yourself, and you always try and put on your best shoes in regards to being in the NBA. And I think this is arguably two of the best teams that do that, just as far as like our attitude, guys doing the right thing on and off the court. So like I said, it's really cool that both teams are kind of in this position. It's a very deserving thing. So, like I said, it'll be really cool to do that, just because it's like on the other end, like you can tell that they enjoy playing with each other too.
Jalen, when you first got here, what were some of the things that stood out to you about the character of this team, about the way they wanted everyone to play? What were some of the things that stood out to you right away?
Yeah, I don't think it's I'm gonna like go backwards from your question. I don't think it's more that like we like want everybody to play. I think it's just more like that's the position that coach gets put in. Like we have a lot of guys that can play, and from there, I think that's where the character part kicks in, because then he allows us to do that. He gives everybody the opportunity to play, and I think when you know that your coach, like you can play any game, any moment, whatever, it just keeps you ready and engaged throughout the season. And then as far as character, when I first got here, I told my parents, like, I didn't expect to get along with the group as well as I did. It's really just like a organic thing. So that's probably more of like a Sam Presti question in regards to like doing background checks and like who he's bringing into the organization. But I mean, you guys see like everybody we bring in like fits in really well. Everybody we trade for. So a little bit's probably luck, and the other part is just like who we've brought in over the course of time. I think it just allows everybody to be themselves.
Yeah, Dub. Over the span of just this season, you've gone from like promising young rising star to all-star to all-defensive team, all-NBA team. Was there a moment like this season or last where things just really clicked for you? Like I'm better than 90% of the league?
I wouldn't say it like that, but I don't really look at it as like who I'm better than, or like I'm just trying to get better than I was the day before. I know that sounds like corny, but like I think if you try and focus on like somebody in front of you, it's really hard to like focus on what you're trying to do. And I think I've done a really good job of just trying to get better every time we do practice, trying to get better understanding like the little parts of the NBA, like rest and recovery, how I eat, how I go into like working out. Like I try and like master all those things off the court, and then that allows me to just do what I do on the court. So I think I've just gotten better and better at that, and like managing outside noise and things that go on throughout my life, and then it allows me to just kind of play more free. Playing free too is I'm in a good spot to where I'm allowed to grow and like kind of grow through the growing pains of being young and being in the NBA. So that goes down to like coaches and like who I'm playing with. And I think when you just factor all that in, it's kind of like the result you get.
And then I think a lot of casual basketball fans don't appreciate being like a well-rounded player. I feel like if they don't see like 25 plus points every night or 20 plus points every night, they're like, "What's J-Dub doing?" Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you're still impacting the game, defensively or teammates involved. Can you just talk about the importance of being like an all-around player in this league?
Just don't know how many there are. And that's not like a slight. It's just when I got into the NBA, that was like how I was trying to like find my niche, like figure out how I can stand out. And it's just be good at everything. Obviously, that comes with a lot of casual people that don't watch the sport, which isn't their fault. Like it doesn't really bother me. But yeah, I just try and like go out and win the game. You look at some of like the best players ever, like some of their worst shooting games have also been like their best rebounding games or their best like defensive performances. So there's just so many things you can do to impact winning. And if you truly care about winning, you can sacrifice like maybe not scoring or sacrifice a part of your game in order to win the game.
Jalen, growing up, what do you remember about the finals, and what does it mean to you to kind of be on this stage now?
It's crazy. I remember being at Guadalupe, this like boys and girls club, and we would like always have practice, and like the way our AAU practice would fall would always be on like the finals. So I just remember like rushing out of practice, and like we would all get on like the group sofa and like watch. It was usually like the Lakers and Celtics growing up, but we would always watch like whatever finals game was going on. So I remember a lot of those very distinctly. So just my time playing with my first club team, I always remember like just being at the boys and girls club till like 12 o'clock waiting for the games to finish.
Dub, you were the first to tell that story about Alex bringing in his 2020 ring to the locker room and showing everybody. What like thinking back to that, what still sticks with you from that day, and what did you sort of think of the experience when it happened?
It was a big ring, so that was motivation. I think just the message. He had arguably one of the tougher rings, the bubble ring. Just what goes into a season. I think when you look at that one, for them to win and have all the ups and downs of that season and still kind of stay focused, I think that's been our biggest thing, being able to like block out noise. And, you know, obviously there's a lot of stuff about us being young and I guess too happy or whatever the case may be for like us not being ready to like be the next level. But I think the biggest thing with him getting the ring was just like how to stay focused through whatever we're doing and just grow as a team. And that's what really stuck out to me when he brought the ring in.
And I know you jokingly said like the whole too happy thing, but Miles Turner sort of joked about that last night, saying that the power of friendship, that sort of, besides the jokes, feels like a real part of these two runs. Just what is the collective friendship and bond for this team meant to how far you guys have come?
It just allows us, when everybody's allowed to be themselves, I think you get the best growth from a team, and it allows everybody to grow in their own space. I've said this since I've been here, just when you're kind of the same age or in the same part of your career as everybody, it's very easy to empathize with like your teammates when they're going through something because you've either been through it or may start going through it. So it allows everybody to like help each other, and then through that we're just able to grow through these experiences, get better day in and day out. We've all had the same approach, and I think that's why we're as good as we are. And I think the Pacers probably have something to do with that as well. You know, obviously them being younger, and you see they have fun playing with each other too. So it might be a little bit of a theme.
You're getting better at the middle shot. How much are you learning from Shea?
I try and take bits and pieces that he's very good at and incorporate it to how I would like to play. But I think what I've learned is if you try and do what he's doing, it's a lot more difficult than it looks. So you try and just incorporate some of like the basic fundamental stuff that he does, and then you try and make it your own game. You know, I want to end up being somebody that be like, oh, I play like J-Dub and not like who I'm like constantly trying to like play like, you know what I mean?
Go ahead. Yeah.
These would be the last two.
Okay. So Tyrese Halliburton, obviously, is star player head of the Snake. What stands out to you when you watch him, and what concerns you most as you have to deal with him in this series?
I don't know if concerns is like not like a slight, like he's a hell of a player, all-star for a reason. I think just I'm just going to say like what makes him very good is that he's very confident. So to be able to play as well as he's been playing through like a lot of the overrated stuff, and for him to be able to like play through that, you know, you got to tip your hat to him for that. So just an extremely confident individual. And I think that regardless of who you are, it makes you dangerous.
Byron, last question?
All season, you guys have talked about just what's in front of you the next game. Is that tougher now when you know you're 4 wins away from an NBA championship?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have the right approach to it, though. We always talk about, like, human nature in our locker room, and, like, that's kind of like the human nature way of thinking about it is, like, 4 wins away. And, you know, you kind of lose sight of the fact that you got to win 1 to get to 4, and, you know, you kind of got to stack wins. So that's how we're looking at it. So I think the best way that we've done so far is just let's get prepared for game 1 now and go from there. And I think that does make it a little easier now that we know who we're playing.
Thanks, Dub.
Marta, you're up next.
Hi, Isaiah. Nice meeting you. It's Marta Kiszko from Poland. Hi. In the past, you played with great big men and decorated big men, like from the top of my head, Kevin Love, Nikola Jokic, Zubac, Tyson Chandler. Which one has been the biggest inspiration for you, and what lessons you learned from them that you can carry into the upcoming finals?
I think it's probably 2. I mean, I think Jokic helped me a lot just with the passing. I think just how to get guys open with your eyes, how to know when certain guys are open, maybe when they maybe don't look open. So he helped me a lot with just the passing. I was a good passer before, but he kind of took that, helped me take it to another level. And then probably two more. Tyson Chandler helped me a lot, just be more vocal on defense. I think when we were with the Rockets, that was something he was big on. He was kind of, throughout practice, throughout games, he was always, hey, you got to talk more, you got to do this. And so I think that helped a lot. And just Daigneault was also big for me in my first year, just showing me how to be a professional, how to approach each day of a long season. And so, yeah, probably those three.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Aurelia, you're next.
Hallo Asea, erstmal herzlichen Glückwunsch zum Einzug in die Finals. Ich habe 2 Fragen. Einmal, was ist für dich der Unterschied jetzt von den Clippers zu den Knicks, dass du jetzt bei OKC viel mehr deine Rolle, noch eine größere Rolle bekommen hast, so im Verhältnis zu den anderen beiden Franchise? Und was bedeutet dir das, dass du eventuell der zweite Deutsche sein kannst, der einen Titel gewinnt und Champion wird?
Ich glaube, das Erste, ich habe mich konstant immer mehr bewiesen. Immer wenn ich eine Chance bekomme, habe ich die immer mehr und mehr genutzt. In New York, das letzte Jahr, habe ich viel gespielt, hatte ich eine große Rolle. Und von da habe ich mich sozusagen da bewiesen. Dieses Jahr habe ich es wieder gezeigt, dass ich für mich einer von den besten Bigs der Liga bin und Teams wirklich zu gewinnen helfen kann. Und für mich wäre es auf jeden Fall eine Ehre für Deutschland. Ich meine, es ist jetzt nicht nur für mich, es ist nicht nur für OKC, aber wenn ich gewinnen würde, wäre es auch was Cooles für Deutschland. Und ich spiele auch dafür für Deutschland. Und deswegen wäre es eine Ehre, auf jeden Fall einen Titel zu gewinnen und das auch für Deutschland zu tun.
Vielen Dank, viel Erfolg.
Felipe next.
Hello, Isaiah. Can you hear me? I'm Felipe from ESPN Brazil. I would like to ask you about the group. Much more the 5 starters. All the players seem to be ready to get on the court and help the team. And in addition, the fact you guys really like each other. So, what do you think? You think this is the greatest quality of this team?
I think the greatest quality of this team is that we do everything together. I think me and Stars are off the court. We're really a together team. We support each other. If you're playing a lot of minutes, if you're not playing a lot of minutes, I think that's what makes us special. Is we're very supportive of each other, and then when it gets on the court, we're kind of like we're always connected. I mean, defensively we're connected, offensively we're connected, and I think that's what makes it hard to play against us because no one's ever. No.
Well, Coach, you know you're playing now, so tell us how your preparations went today and just going forward.
Yeah, first of all, congrats to Indiana for making the finals. A lot of respect for their team, how they've done it, and the run that they're on right now. So obviously a tall task for us. Today we practiced. It was our first full team practice in a couple days. A lot of that was just to focus on us, our fundamentals, the things that are going to be important, every game, independent of opponent. We did some thematic things with Indiana today, but it's a little too early, I think, to start getting really deep into them. We'll do that as we get closer to the game. Right now, we're just trying to get ourselves, back and get ourselves primed up.
You'd all look back to the regular season matchups with them?
Always as a data point, not as a signal, So we try to get all the information we can on all the opponents. Certainly, having played against them is information. We were not whole in those games, and so some of those are contextual. There's always scheduling context as well. I don't know what the context was, but one of the teams could have been playing, their 7th game in 11 days or something like that. So we learn a little bit from it, but we don't overreact to it.
Mark, do you know Rick Carlisle well, or just what have you thought of him from afar?
I obviously have a lot of respect for him. He's just got an unbelievable life in basketball. When you look at all the things he's experienced in his playing career, and then in his assistant coaching career and his head coaching career, he's forgotten more about the game than most of us have seen. So I have a lot of respect for him. I know him. He's the president of the Coaches Association, so he's got, I think, 29 really good relationships with the coaches and is in constant communication with us. And so I've had many interactions with him over the years. He's been very good to me as I've come up, here, and couldn't have more respect for him.
And just personally for you, I know you probably don't put a lot of time into this, but how much have you heard from maybe family and friends back home, in Leominster, just for you to be in this spot?
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people. One of the best things about this is obviously a great opportunity for all of us. Everybody that gets to participate in the NBA Finals. It's something to be grateful for. And one of the cool things is that you get to share it with people that you care about and the people that care about you. And so that's certainly the case for me, and I'm sure that's the case for all the players, all the coaches that are involved in this.
Mark, I'm not sure you saw this last night, but Dub was referencing Miles Turner's postgame presser where he was mentioning, the similarities between the two teams, and at the end of it, he sort of half-jokingly said that both teams sort of run on the power of friendship. I just wonder, on a serious note, what that sort of means to you in the context of this team and what you think that's done for Jalen's growth specifically.
I didn't see the interview. I think, well, the first thing I'd say is no one's limping into the finals. You're earning your way to get to the finals, and so you're going to get to teams that have a lot of shared experiences in those playoffs together. That builds team chemistry, the confidence from certainly the wins you have and the series wins, and also you got to battle up in some of these games. They've had to do that. We've had to do that, and so both teams are coming into the finals with the same psychological profile right now, where they're highly connected and more connected now than they were at the beginning of the playoffs. And then it becomes about who can play better in the games. But we have a lot of respect for them from afar. The program they've built, the way that they play, the identity they've built on the court, the way their guys play together, the whole is better than the sum of the parts with their team, which I think is the sign of a good team. And so again, nothing but respect for them.
Mark, obviously your team is incredibly competitive, but maybe in a similar vein to that, your guys are going to have an opportunity on the biggest stage to show the kind of caliber of people that they are. What you described the other night after Game 5, the way that they compete, the way they talk to each other, the way they treat their opponent. How excited are you for them to maybe be a representative of the NBA in that regard and the way that they comport themselves?
Yeah, I think this finals is a great representation with the two teams that are in it. They're teams that play, good, exciting styles of basketball, players that have great individual stories, teams that have a great story collectively, and we're proud to be a part of that.
Mark, it's been a long road to get to this point for you guys. When you talked to Sam in the beginning of all this about what kind of players you want, what kind of style you want to play, what will succeed in the modern NBA, what were some of the things that you were looking for early on?
I honestly don't look at it like this, like you're saying. I think coaching in the G League helped me with this. It's less, it's not like, here's the style of player I like. Because I think the NBA system is so constraining with, you only have so many roster spots, you only have so much money, there's salary cap rules, there's CBA rules. The whole league is designed for parity, the way the system is designed. And so team building is very constraining because the system is constraining in an intentional way and in a way that's good for the league. And when you're the coach and you're like, on top of all those constraints, here's more constraints. Here's more stuff that you have to work around. I don't like this. I don't believe in that. We obviously want to have the best team we can, but I think our job is to maximize the team we do have and to figure out what the strengths of that team are, figure out the trade-offs of that team, and then to operate within that. Obviously, we've had a lot of players come through here. Sam and I talk all the time about, the players that are here, the team that's here, the roster, the draft. He's incredibly inclusive in that process, and we've had, hours and hours and hours of conversations about that. So there's input and there's collaboration. But I try not to bring a strong hand to that conversation. I try to bring a lot of open-mindedness and a lot of flexibility to that conversation, because I think ultimately that's how I can best contribute to us being successful. And so that's how I've tried to approach it.
And when you look back at the two 20-ish win seasons that you had, what did you take away from them that maybe helped you and this team get to where it is today?
A ton. I think starting with Shea and Lou and K. Rich being there at that time and establishing, that was kind of a blank canvas. We had a brand new team, at a weird time. There's a new head coach, a lot of new staff members on the ground with the team. It was COVID, so like the first year we didn't even, have fans in the seats. And so it was a blank piece of paper. And those three guys have had their fingerprints on this. And then the establishment of the type of environment we're going to have with this particular team, the establishment of the system we're going to play on both ends of the floor, the fundamentals, refining that over time, building our mettle through the adversities of losing more games than we win by a large margin. And then there were also like flickers of like, we might have something here, like even then, like there was a competitive spirit that the team had where they were kind of competing independent of the outcomes of the games, which I thought was very encouraging. And we were doing that on a pretty consistent basis. I think if you're a hardcore Thunder fan and you were following those teams on a lot of nights were punching above their weight. And I thought showed some signs of feistiness and competitiveness that have certainly like flowered as time's gone on.
So, Coach, obviously you guys are good at pushing the pace and creating turnovers and such to move the tempo in the direction that you guys want to do. But Indiana runs as well as anyone in the league.
Yep.
What challenge does that present for your roster?
The same challenge it presents for everybody that plays against them. I think if you look at this playoff run, you'll see how challenging they are for their opponents. The way they defend contributes to their team identity. It's not just offense. Their defensive philosophy is very much aligned with their offensive philosophy, so it creates a certain air to the game when you play against them that is difficult to play against. As you can see from the way that they've performed and really run through the Eastern Conference to get here. So they're an incredibly challenging opponent that stays in character in all circumstances. They play the same way in January as they do in May. They play the same way up 20 as they do down 20. They've got unbelievable integrity to the way that they do things, and that's why they're good. So there's going to be a challenging opponent.
And then just a quick follow-up, specifically Tyrese Halliburton's imprint on that, if you could just speak to that a little bit.
He's a great player. He stirs the drink. He's got an unbelievable ability to score, which I think creates a lot of the passing. You think back to guys like Nash was like that, like the passing is what you think about, but the threat of scoring is what creates the advantages and opens up the passing. And Halliburton can really score. He can shoot threes. He can score in the pick and roll game. He's a constant threat. And then the minute you commit yourself to him, he leverages that threat to throw the ball early to his teammates and put guys in advantages. So obviously a great competitor, great player, and someone that enhances the guys he plays with. And, we obviously have a ton of respect for him.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Mark, after the last time you guys played them, when they were here, Rick said something kind of paraphrasing about how if you want to model your team to be a playoff team, watch them, watch you guys. I don't know if you remember those comments, and specifically about how they've kind of played since then. Have they reminded them, are they similar to what you guys have been doing with your style of play, mentality, how you've approached the game?
I don't know. I think one of the things, you get the opponent last night. Like, I haven't watched all of Indiana's games this season. We have eyes on Indiana throughout the playoffs, and we'll now start to, dig back into the regular season in certain games to do the legwork on it. But I haven't tracked them game to game. Most of the stuff I know of them is from a distance and from, being briefed, heading into the finals once we qualify. But my focus my first focus is always the Thunder. And then my next focus is always the team we're playing. So I've spent most of my time on Minnesota recently, and then once we won that series, I've turned the page a little bit. But other than to say I have great respect for their identity and everything I've already said, I'm not like intimately aware of every single experience they've had this season.
Good. We're gonna go Joel.
Mark, Dub was saying at the end of that Minnesota series that he felt the Denver series, Game 7, maybe more specifically, was the hump that the team sort of had to get over. But for your staff, what do you feel like you sort of learned through this playoff run, and are there humps that you guys feel like you've gotten over as a staff?
I don't know about humps, but I mean, every series presents a lot of challenges. You're playing the same team over and over again. Each team is trying to evolve with the series, and you end up seeing a lot of different things and being posed with a lot of different challenges. And so we've had that in every series to different degrees. Tactically, the Denver series was yet to be incredibly flexible in terms of the defenses they were playing. And the way they were attacking on offense. They were trying to free up their main guys in a lot of different ways, especially in the games where we were able to get, a grip on them. They evolved very quickly and forced us to do the same. In Minnesota, similarly, with lineups specifically, the way they defended us and the way they tried to free up their guys. So you're just in a constant state of trying to evolve and stay a step ahead of the series to the degree that you can, knowing that the opponent's trying to do the same thing, and sometimes they get the best of you, just like anything else. But that's the best way I can answer it from a coaching standpoint. But I think the most value is what Dub's referring to, which is, we've now been dealt a lot of different hands just in these playoffs as a team. We've played a lot of different types of games. We've been up, we've been down. We've played a lot of different types of styles. We've seen a lot of different things. We've been up in series and we've had to close that way. We've been down in series and had to scrape back into it. So I just think we've had a nice range of experiences to this point that we can utilize as we move forward here.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
Next question comes from Marta.
Hi, Lou. I got a question about the defensive schemes, because you use like different types of them, from man-to-man to blitzing to hedging and recovering, the switching, and having absolutely tremendous defenders on the team. Which types of defense are the most challenging to you as a basketball player, and which types present the biggest challenge regarding the matchup with the Pacers?
I would say for myself, I know I'm a pretty good defender, and then I feel like I've been able to adjust to, really all the type of defense that, we had to work on and I would have to do on the court. So, they all are different challenges, obviously, but, I feel like whenever I watch film and I prepare, I feel like we as a team can do anything on the court, especially on that side of the floor. And, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Spears, next.
What's up, Lou?
It's good.
I don't know if you can hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you talk about Wiggins? Played so much during the regular season, then his role changed and didn't play as much in the postseason. Like, what kind of mentality has he had to have when your role changes, but you're thinking about for the betterment of the team? And also, I wanted to see what you remember about J-Dub when he first arrived at OKC.
Yeah, about Wiggs, he's always going to be ready. I'm not worrying about that. His whole journey here has been a lot of ups and downs. There's times where he was playing a lot, there's time where he wasn't playing a lot. But, he's always about the team first. And whenever he gets his name called, he's always going to be ready. And then you could just see that this whole season, what he did was he had an amazing regular season. And whenever he was getting his name called, and he was always ready. So I feel like, nothing changed on that end. all that is on the coaching staff. But you know, whenever he gets his name called, he's gonna go out there and play his best. And then on Dub, you know, Dub is a special talent. Honestly, since he's been here, he's always been about the work and the trust of the team. And then you know, he's always in there, getting better and developing. And now to become the player that he is now is like I'm glad I got to see that.
Thank you.
Next up, Sasha from Telegraph Sport.
Hello, Lou. Thank you for having us here today. I'd like to start by asking about your road to the finals and those great 7 games you played against Denver and Nikola Jokic, since I'm from Serbia. What was it like guarding Jokic throughout that series, and how do you evaluate his game? And also would like to ask you about promising young talent from Serbia, Nikola Topic. How do you see him, the other Nikola? So those two.
I mean, Jokic is a huge talent, honestly. You know, if you ask me how to stop them, I wouldn't be able to answer that question. But the thing that we had to do is we had to do it with the whole team. Anything we could throw, we had to throw some different stuff at him, and then he was still succeeding. But you know, I don't have an answer for you on how to stop him. And it was a great matchup, and I'm glad I got to, you know, have that experience to go against a player like that. And Tope, I mean, he's been doing a lot of his recovery stuff, but you can just see the talent and how he's so much comfortable with the ball. Recently, he started playing with us and be a little more active with us, but you know, he's still getting back from his injury. But I can just see how he's comfortable with the ball and the type of player he's going to be.
And the other question about young Nikola Topic from OKC. How do you see him and his talent?
Yeah, that's what I just said about Topic. Yeah, he's really comfortable with the ball, and then he's still recovering from his injury still. But you know, you can just see what type of player he's going to be in this league.
Thank you so much.
Davide, Gazzetta dello Sport.
Hello, Davide here from Italy. Thank you for finding the time. There's this old NBA say that say defense wins title. Obviously, your defense is pretty special. Do you think that will be the key for you to win the next 4 games?
I feel like defense has been a huge part of our success throughout the whole season. I don't think, you know, I don't think anything's going to change now. I mean, we take a lot of pride on that side of the floor, and then I feel like our defense, the way that we play defense, won us a lot of games this year. So, you know, defense will obviously be a big reason that we get this done this year.
Thank you. Jeremy, Radio Canada.
I just have 2 quick questions in French. Luguentz, c'est ta première finale de la NBA. Comment tu te sens à l'approche de ce défi qui s'en vient?
Je me sens très bien, confortable. C'est sûr que je suis content du travail qu'on a fait cette année où on a été capable de se rendre jusqu'ici. Je sens qu'on s'est amélioré en tant qu'équipe, non seulement durant la saison régulière, mais aussi durant les playoffs. So, you know, on est confortable, puis on croit vraiment au travail qu'on va faire, puis le scout qu'on va avoir contre l'équipe, contre Indiana.
Et bon, évidemment, c'est la première fois dans l'histoire que 2 Québécois vont s'affronter en finale de la NBA. En plus, c'est quelqu'un que tu connais très bien, que tu as déjà qualifié comme étant ton petit frère. Qu'est-ce que ça représente pour toi de jouer contre Bénédicte en finale?
Ça représente beaucoup, non seulement le fait que je le connais très bien, mais aussi qu'on vient de la même place. On a tous les 2 grandi à Montréal-Nord. Puis je pense que c'est même plus gros, non seulement pour nous, mais aussi pour notre ville, puis pour le monde qui nous supporte. C'est sûr que les fans de Montréal qui suivent le basket, je pense que leur équipe préférée, c'est nous, puis Indiana. So, ça va être vraiment le fun pour eux de voir leurs meilleures équipes, leurs 2 joueurs québécois qui supportent vraiment jouer en finale.
Next question from Jim Conlon.
Hi, Lou. Lou, you're regarded as an elite defender and OKC as an elite defensive team. I'm just curious, in terms of Pascal Siakam, he's probably playing the basketball of his life at the moment, probably even better than the time when Toronto Raptors won the NBA championship. He's probably even surpassing that. He's coming off a conference finals MVP. He's averaging 40 points in most games. How important is it for the first game of the series to make a statement on Pascal Siakam and try to keep him within 20 points and maybe not let him heat up in this series?
Yeah, he's a great player. You know, he's been on that stage before. He knows what it takes to get it done. You know, he's been having a great run in the playoff right now. So I feel like it's for anybody to just make it tough. I mean, you know, players like that's gonna make a lot of tough shots, but you know, as long as are the tough shots, you got to live with that. And you know, he's a player that you know is really comfortable. So anything we can do is to make it tough for him, we'll do that.
Last two questions from Tony and Dustin.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Hello, Lou. How are you doing? Tony Cañameras from Mundo Deportivo, Spain. Yeah, actually, my question is about a competitor of mine, Jordi Fernandez. Well, you had him like two years in with the Canadian national team. Yeah, of course, like in this journey towards NBA, you have to give the most credit to the Thunder organization for the player development and stuff. But in terms of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and yourself, what is the impact that Jordi had on both of you to get to this point, to get to the finals as players? Thank you.
Yeah, Jordy was a you know a really good coach for us. You know, he helped us achieve some good stuff with Team Canada. You know, I feel like Jordy is a players coach first, which I really like about him, and he was really straightforward. You know, laying with the short amount of time that we had with him, you know, laying the foundation and like how he would want his team to play and how he would want every player on his team to play. And you know, just having a coach like that telling you right away that, you know, I would need you to do this and that on the court. You know, it just gave you confidence and it just, you know, just knowing what to do on the floor. You know, when a coach like that is coaching you is big. And you know, he's a guy that with a lot of energy, and then just the type of games that we have with Team Canada, you know, just knowing that, you know, all those type of games in the Olympics and the World Cup, you know, every game matters, kind of prepare you for a postseason like that. So I feel like, you know, just the run that we had with him helped us get to this point.
Thank you.
Last question from Dustin.
Yeah, Lou, I just want to ask you about the Pacers in general, and also about just guarding Tyrese. You've obviously dealt with that assignment a few times. Just what makes him a challenge? What do you feel like you've done well on him in the past, and just what's important to keep in mind when you're trying to keep him from getting their offense rolling?
Yeah, he's a good player. You know, plays with a lot of pace. Like I said, just all those type of guys, man. You just got to make everything tough for them. Honestly, you know, they're good players for a reason. You know, he's gonna make a lot of tough shots. He's gonna have the ball a lot in his hand, and he's gonna help create for his teammates. So, you know, as long as we can stay in front of him and make everything tough, you know, we'll put ourselves in a good position.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for today.